So the Leafs came out with another big win against the Minnesota Wild to finish off the Global Series in Sweden. Matthews scored to move back into a tie for the goal-scoring lead in the NHL. William Nylander is now tied for second in the entire league in points. Marner is still dynamic as ever. Matthew Knies looks like a star in the making. Things are fun around the Leafs, although not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, especially if you look at defensive depth and goaltending. And I know for that team it's all about the playoffs, and everybody's making the jokes, 1967, and the playoff round stuff, the heartbreaking losses in the last few years, lots of chatter about can you win with, insert name here, Matthews, Marner, Nylander, whoever you want. And that's where things can be very much not fun to be a Leaf fan. And look, people love to troll the Leafs. I'm not here to tell you not to do that. There's fan bases who thrive on that stuff, and that's fine by me. But especially in moments like this where the top players are playing such good hockey, I feel like a lot of Leaf fans just have the blinders on. Like, doesn't matter, wait till the playoffs, that's when it matters. I don't care about this regular season stuff. But if you look at the grand scheme of things, even with all the heartbreaking losses and the frustration during this era of the Leafs, man, is it a good time to be a fan of the team. And I think it's important to remember that sometimes and to enjoy games like this from the top stars and be grateful that you guys have them, especially for when things get tense in Leafland, because trust me, they will. I started paying attention to the Leafs right in the middle of that run of 7 seasons where no matter how hard they tried, they couldn't make the playoffs for the life of them. You remember it, Leaf fans, Brian Burke constantly getting snappy with the media.
They won a goddamn lottery.
The Ron Wilson era in Toronto, need I even say more? Giving up 2 first-round picks for Phil Kessel, which turned into Tyler Seguin and Dougie Hamilton. The infamous Bruins trade Andrew Raycroft to Leafs for goalie prospect trade. I don't even need to tell you who the goalie prospect was, you know. The Leafs being so bad that the fans started chanting, "Let's go Blue Jays" in the middle of the game. The media freaking out about Phil Kessel saying he only skated 10 times during the summer, plus Hot Dog Gate. And honestly, the whole Phil Kessel junk food, laziness narrative era in Toronto just got to become so annoying after a good bit of time. It was funny at first, and then funny again when he left. But while it was going on in Toronto, it just got to become so annoying. Then there was that famous Phil Kessel press conference where he stood up for Dion Phaneuf against the media's treatment of him. Even 8 years later, I still see that clip come up all the time. There was also the creation of Robidas Island, and that became a gigantic story. Speaking of Robidas Island, before Matthews, Marner, and Nylander, remember when Kessel, Lupul, and Van Riemsdyk were supposed to be the Leafs' big 3 up front? I loved Joffrey Lupul as a Maple Leaf, and I'm really sad that it ended the way it did. And I remember the hype around JVR when he first came to Toronto, especially when he scored this goal against Boston. That was just, it was white hot. Those number 21 jerseys were flying off the shelves. Speaking of hype, remember how Leafs Nation felt when young Nazem Kadri scored those shootout goals against Boston in the 10-11 season? When you're a 7th overall pick on a Leafs team that's starved for skill and offense, the Leaf fans definitely kept an eye on 43. Then there's a bunch of names I could just rattle off that'll either put a big nostalgic smile on your face or give you PTSD. Jake Gardner, for example, Mikhail Grabovski, Nikolai Kulemin, Colton Orr, Cody Franzen, Francois Beauchemin, James Reimer, Clark MacArthur. Like, this puts a smile on my face because I distinctly remember this time for Maple Leaf fans. And while there were some fun moments, as soon as that logo changed and Marner, Matthews, and Nylander came in, Leafs hockey instantly became 100 times more fun to watch. Like, all of a sudden, you weren't watching to see if Phil Kessel would break another stick on the bench or if Dion Phaneuf would trip over the blue line. Now it's, is Matthews going to score 60 goals and win the MVP? Is Mitch Marner going to have another incredibly dynamic, awesome season? Can Nylander score 50 goals and 100 points? How deep are we going to go in the playoffs? Instead of, oh boy, I really hope Joffrey Lupul can score over 20 goals so we have a chance to even just scrape into the last playoff spot. It's just so night and day, and look, I'm not saying don't criticize the current Leafs, because they deserve some criticism a lot of the time, but what I'm also saying is, perspective is important, and you don't realize how good you had it with these guys until you don't have them anymore, and that's when you see, oh man, I really should have appreciated them more when we had them. That's all I'm going to say. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments down below. What was your favorite moment from that era of the Leafs? We'll say like 05, 06 until 15, 16. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.